Good evening. A huge win for the Aam Aadmi Party, with the Supreme Court stating that members nominated by Delhi's Lieutenant Governor cannot vote in the election for the post of Delhi Mayor as part of the Municipal Corporation of Delhi. The Apex Court also directed a notice to be issued for convening the first MCD or Municipal Corporation of Delhi meeting for elections within 24 hours. The Delhi mayoral election became a huge bone of contention between the Aam Aadmi Party, which won the election to the MCD in December, and the BJP. The mayoral election had been postponed 3 times in the last couple of months amidst a huge ruckus inside the civic centre. My colleague Sunil Prabhu joins us for more on this. So Sunil, in simple terms, with the numbers being what they are and the candidates of the LG not being allowed to vote, is it essentially going to be most likely a win for the Aam Aadmi Party for the post of mayor?
Well, most likely, and I'll wait for that democratic process to take place on the floor of the House. But here in the Supreme Court has ruled very categorically and asked the Lieutenant Governor and the MCD to issue within 24 hours notice for the elections of deputy mayor. And then, of course, once the mayor is elected and the aldermen who have been nominated will not have a right to vote, he or she will conduct the elections for the deputy mayor as well as the standing committee. And there also, in both those processes, the aldermen will not have the right to vote. Finally, after 2 months of, and as you showed those scenes of commotion that have taken place on the floor of the of the municipal corporation, Delhi now will be able to get its elected representatives to start their developmental work because people of Delhi have been suffering in terms of developmental work, in terms of getting on with their tasks. And finally, the Supreme Court realizing that enough is enough and passing that order after listening to the Lieutenant Governor's submission, as well as the Municipal Corporation, as well as the government of NCD, as well as, of course, the Aam Aadmi Party, and then finally ruling in favour of the fact that the aldermen do not have special voting rights and cannot participate in an election process for the election of mayor, or for that matter, deputy mayor and the standing committee.
I think the key point for citizens in Delhi is that now the municipal corporation is Aam Aadmi Party, the state government is Aam Aadmi Party, and there would be no mayor from another party, any other political party, to impede the process. In a state which has seen so many problems with the working of the municipality, which has often come in clash with the working of the state government, the process of development, infrastructure, health, education, this, that and the other, would it be realistic to expect that that would be smoother?
Much smoother, there's no doubt. You see, Delhi is a plethora and multiplicity of authorities, be it the DDA, which comes directly under the Lieutenant Governor and deals with land, as well as, of course, law and order, which comes under the Delhi Police, which is dealt by the Lieutenant Governor and the Home Ministry. It is in very few functions that the state government, or for that matter, the municipal corporation rule. But these are bread and butter issues, Vishnu, for the people of Delhi. In terms of ensuring that, your roads are clean, you are able to get your health certificate, your birth and death certificate. These are all done by the MCD. And, construction work, various other permits that are required. They are the ones who are able to get the developmental, you getting your roads done, getting your drains clean in the local localities. These are the issues and bread and butter issues for the common man. And without holding elections, after conducting that entire electoral process on the 4th of December, today being the 17th, we haven't seen that board, the mayor, or for that matter, the deputy mayor or the standing committees being constituted, and people haven't been able to get their elected representatives to deliver.
Right.
Finally, the Supreme Court ruling and making it clear that no more commotion. Within 24 hours, you conduct, hold issue a notice for the elections for the mayor as well as deputy mayor, and also the standing committees, so as to get on with business. And as you pointed out, India today is also, Delhi will be one of the main capitals to host the G20.
Yeah.
And these are things that need to be taken into consideration ahead of that entire process so as to be able to get elected representatives to continue with the developmental work and help Delhi improve in terms of its cleanliness and how it goes about its business.
Sunil, thanks very much for sharing all of those details with us. In other news, the day after the burnt bodies or the charred bodies of 2 Muslim men were found in a car in Haryana, a kidnapping case has been filed against 5 men suspected to be cow vigilantes. 25-year-old Nasir and 35-year-old Junaid had been kidnapped from Rajasthan's Bharatpur district on Wednesday, is what their families alleged in their complaint to the police. The charred bodies of Nasir and Junaid were found in a Mahindra Bolero SUV on Thursday morning. Yesterday, in Haryana's Bhiwani district, police are still trying to establish whether the remains are those of Nasir and Junaid. Whether the 2 were burnt alive or died in a fire that broke out in the car is being investigated. The families of the 2 kidnapped men identified the vehicle and said that the owner of the car was known to Nasir and Junaid. The police said that they were investigating whether cow vigilantism was involved in the deaths. Mr. Srivastav said Junaid had 5 cases of cow smuggling against him, while Nasir had no criminal record.
क्यों जलाते? किस लिए जलाते? क्या कर दिया उन्होंने? क्या कसूर था? क्यों मार दिए? क्या कर रहे हैं? ये बदमाशी कर रहे हैं सारे लोग। ये पैसे कमाने के लिए किसी की जान ले रहे हैं, बस और कुछ नहीं कर रहे। किसी से कोई लेना देना है, इंसानियत से कोई मतलब नहीं है इन्हें। किसी से कोई मतलब नहीं, सिर्फ पैसे कमाते हैं और कुछ नहीं करते। अपनी रंगदारी दिखाते हैं कि हम ऐसे करते हैं, बस गुंडागर्दी करते हैं इलाका में सारे में और कुछ नहीं करते। क्या ये 5-6 बच्चे रह गए, कौन कोई है कोई?
ये इस्माइल हैं, ये इस्माइल जुनैद के भाई हैं और इन्होंने ही शिकायत दर्ज कराई कल यानी गुरुवार सुबह 14 तारीख को। नासिर और जुनैद बुलेरो गाड़ी से निकले और 15 तारीख की सुबह उनका फ़ोन बंद हो गया। परिवार ने ढूंढना शुरू किया। जब आपने ढूंढना शुरू किया, जो आप हमें बता रहे थे, अभी फिर से बताइए, जब आपने ढूंढना शुरू किया, जब फ़ोन बंद आया तो आपको क्या खबर मिली? जब ढूंढा तो आपको क्या पता चला? थोड़ा बताइए हमारे दर्शकों को।
हमारे लिए तो मतलब उस सरपंच ने कॉल किया था। तो पहले तो हम बहुत ज़्यादा ढूंढा, वो तो बिल्कुल गुरोला जहाँ भी कोई बता लगी जाता ही है हर आदमी, क्या हुआ कैसे हुआ। तो फिर डिटेल में हमारे लिए सरपंच भूतपुर घाटा ने फ़ोन किया हमारे पास।
उनका नाम क्या है?
दीनू सरपंच।
दीनू सरपंच,
हाँ, भूतपुर। उसने कॉल किया कि भाई वहाँ से थाना से फिरोजपुर वाले से कॉल आ रहा है मेरे पास कि 2 आदमी लाए हैं और कुछ गुंडा बदमाश हैं। कौन है कौन ना है पता नहीं, लेकिन वो पुलिस के पास लाए हैं। तुम कितनी मत ढूंढो, फिरोजपुर आ जाओ।
फिरोजपुर झिरका यहाँ से कितनी दूर है यहाँ से आपके यहाँ?
झिरका यहाँ से ऐसा 16 किलोमीटर पड़ता है।
वो हरियाणा में पड़ता है,
वो हरियाणा में पड़ता है, नूह जिला में पड़ता है। उन 5-4 गाड़ी हमारी गई तो हम थाना के पास में गए तो अंदर तो हम ना जाने दिया उन्होंने।
अंदर नहीं जाने दिया था?
नहीं जाने दिया अंदर तो। फिर वो भूतपुर सरपंच भी वहाँ पहुँच गया जो इसने कॉल किया था। उससे हमने कहा भाई आप पूछ के आओ, हमारा यहाँ आदमी लाए बताए, यहाँ संतुष्टि हो जाए हमारे। अगर यहाँ हो तो फिर हम कुछ मतलब वो जैसे हालत में जब देखें और उनकी कुछ देखभाल तो करें हम। तो अंदर वो सरपंच गया, उसने कहा भाई यहाँ से तो ले गए।
उन्होंने कहा ले गए यहाँ से
तो ले गए और हमने तो खंदा दिया। हम क्यों लेंगे ऐसी परेशानी मोल की? वो टूट फूट कर लाया, उनके ज़्यादा सीरियस हालात में हमने नहीं लिया।
मतलब पीट के आप कह रहे हैं जुनैद और नासिर को वो पुलिस वालों के पास लेके गए, हरियाणा पुलिस के पास लेके गए।
हाँ जी,
ठीक है।
और हमने खंदा दिया यहाँ से। आप कितनी और देखो, या आप अपना थाना में रिपोर्ट करिए और जाके,
यानी आप वापस भरतपुर जाइए और अपने थाने में रिपोर्ट करिए।
जी, वापस जाइए।
फिर
वापस आए हम अपने थाना में, आके हमने रिपोर्ट प्रयास किया, रिपोर्ट करी। तो यही चाह रहा था हम पे, तो और क्या चाह रहा था। तो उसके बाद में वो दिन भी निकल गया, रात भी निकल गई। सुबह फिर हम वापस थाना पे गया, कोई भाई जांच मिली हमारा आदमी की। उनके भाई हम जांच कर रहे हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा जांच कर रहे हैं और डोल रहे हैं। पुलिस वालों ने भी कहा हाँ ठीक है। अचानक से फ़ोन आया, जाहुल नाम का है, मेरा भतीजा लगता है, उसके पास कि मैं हसीन बोल रहा हूँ। उनकी बता यार, वो वहाँ से फ़ोन आया, कोई गाड़ी लुहारू पड़ती है कि कहाँ है? भिवाड़ी में वो लुहारू में आपकी गाड़ी जल चुकी, उसमें 2 डेड बॉडी भी है, वो भी जल चुकी, बिल्कुल राख कर दी है। बस उस टाइम का नाम सुना था, फिर तो आगे क्या कहते। पूरा विश्वास हो चुका था वही है, और कौन हो सकता है?
So I come to you from the spot from where the charred car and the dead bodies were recovered by the police. So of course this is the spot where the car either caught fire or, as the family is alleging, the car was burnt and the two men, the victims, were burnt alive. That's what the family has alleged. So here you can see charred pieces of the car. This is, as we've been reporting, it was a Bolero car, a Bolero SUV that was completely charred, and that has been seized by the police. The Haryana police has handed over the charred car to the Bharatpur police in Rajasthan. But this is the crime scene, as it were. So now, of course, remember the timeline of the case is important, because remember from Rajasthan is where the two men, the victims, allegedly got kidnapped, as the family is saying, and they were beaten up brutally as per the family, and then here in Haryana's Bhiwani is where they died. Now, another important thing to point out is that this is a completely, I mean, it's right in the middle of a jungle. It's a forested area, and it's also in the interiors of Bhiwani. So this particular path is not a very vehicle-friendly path either. So that also raises important questions as to why the car actually came here and why were the men traveling through this particular area. That's also an important question. Now, this part of Haryana is, prone to this sort of cow vigilantism. I mean, we all remember that absolutely horrific Pehlu Khan case as well. But right now, as far as the police are concerned, we spoke to the DSP as well, and he said that, as far as the cow vigilantism aspect is considered, if the Rajasthan police do decide to probe that angle, then we will cooperate. However, they didn't seem very upfront about probing or investigating the cow vigilantism aspect in this entire case. Now, as of now, another important thing to be investigated is whether the car caught fire or whether the car was burnt, or and the victims were burnt alive. That is also something that the police have to probe. Now, the police have told us that prima facie it seems like the car caught fire, but the families say that they were burnt alive. Now, another important thing to point out here is that the police have said that one of the two victims has, had a history of cow smuggling. There were cases against him as well. So that also raises important questions about cow vigilantism. As of now, the accused are absconding. They're on the run, is what we're being told by the police. And the Bharatpur police in Rajasthan say that they're still on the lookout for the accused. So far, no arrests have been made. But of course, larger questions being raised, because this really the part of Haryana has really become like a trail of terror given the kind of cow vigilantism. So another alleged case, in the series of cases that have come to light from here. In Bhiwani in Haryana, with camera person Sushil Rathi, Vedant for NDTV.
Well, let's quickly move on to some other news. And soon after, the billionaire investor George Soros said that the Indian business tycoon Gautam Adani's recent troubles in the stock market would spur a democratic revival in India, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will have to answer questions. The Union Minister Smriti Irani called upon Indians to unitedly respond to foreign powers who try to intervene in India's democratic processes, calling Mr. Soros's remark a declaration to destroy India's democratic processes. She said Indians have defeated such foreign powers who try to meddle with our internal affairs earlier as well, and will do so again. I urge every Indian to give a fitting reply to George Soros, is what she said.
The man who broke the Bank of England, a man who is known and designated so by a nation as an economic war criminal, has now pronounced his desire to break the Indian democracy. That George Soros wants a government which is pliable to his needs is more than evident from his statements. That he has pronounced funding of over $1 billion particularly to target leaders like Prime Minister Modi, is significant. That when India rose to the 5th largest economy of the world, when the President of the United States of America, the Prime Minister of England, the President of France publicly extended gratitude to the Indian Prime Minister and India for enabling employment not only in India but also these 3 designated nations. Such is a time where the imperialistic intentions of an entrepreneur come to light. Today, as a citizen, I call upon every individual and organization, societal or political, to denounce the intention of this individual who seeks to demonize our democracy, weaken our democratic interests, and who brings an onslaught to the economy of India, all so that he can personally gain. Those who Mr. Soros finds pliable need to know that India has defeated imperialistic designs before and shall do so again. Those who support Mr. Soros need to know that democracy has prevailed in India and will continue to do so, and particularly as a Karyakarta of the Bharatiya Janata Party, these designs to weaken Indian democracy will be met with the might of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Meanwhile, the senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh, referring to Mr. Soros' remarks, said that it had nothing to do with George Soros and whether the Adani controversy would spark a democratic revival depended on the Congress party, opposition parties and also India's electoral process. Meanwhile, Salil Shetty, the vice president of Soros' Open Society Foundations, walked with Rahul Gandhi during the Bharat Jodo Yatra on the 11th of October.